my channel. I am really excited for this. I'm so excited about this. One second. I'm so excited about this. I love films so much, and now I get to react to them and you all get to see it, and it's just so great. So, I got the idea. In October, last month, I went on a fantasy binge and read this hunk of sucker. I mean, it's a thud. It is a...
That's a thud.
In October, if you haven't seen my wrap-up video, this is the first time I have ever read Lord of the Rings. First time in forever. Or the first time in ever. But I have seen the films several times. I've lost count at this point. I'm so excited to now be able to, that I've finished the book, I can go through and watch the adaptations and comment on them, on the things that I like, things that I don't like, things that I wish that they had put in, things that I'm glad they left out. We're watching Fellowship today. You know what I'm gonna comment on. I own the theatrical releases, but before you go rage commenting in the comments, I am watching the extended editions. I've seen the extended editions, so don't worry. I'm a fan of the films, just like you are. I will say, however, oh my god, okay, I gotta pull my hair up. I have a lot of hair, okay? It's a lot, and it gets everywhere. So, I have seen the extended editions. Those are the versions that I'm going to watch. However, I fall into like the 1% who thinks that new people should watch the theatrical cuts first. Because I think watching the extended editions can be a bit much, especially for someone who's never seen it. I mean, Return of the King is 4 hours for the extended edition. It's a lot of movie. And we'll talk about that when we...
Oh, will we talk about that when we get to it?
We'll talk about a lot of things. We'll talk about so many things. There's so many things in my head that I'm already ready to talk about. So we are going to just watch Fellowship of the Ring today. I've got on my enormously large comfy sweater. I've got my tea. My town where I'm at has an Aldi's, so I have these little bitty snacks. These are spiced cookies, and they're shaped like that's a little windmill. And I can't tell what the other, I think that one's Santa. That one looks like a swan, but I don't know what it is. Oh, they come in rows. Oh, they smell so good. Oh, they smell so good. What do I have? Oh, yes, yes. This is either Santa or some kind of German hiker man. Oh, these are good. Dip it in my tea. Oh, that's even better. Grab yourself a drink and some snacks. Let's dig into this Fellowship.
The world is changed. I feel it in the water. I feel it in the earth.
That is literally what it sounds like. I know they're speaking Elvish, but that's what it sounds like.
I smell it, for none now live who remember it.
How can none now live who remember it? That line, I never understood that line because she remembers it. Galadriel remembers it. She's narrating. She remembers it. Elrond remembers it. They were all there. So is this supposed to be talking about in the future? Like our now time? I don't know.
And 9 rings were gifted to the race of men who above all else desire power.
So I really, really love this prologue in this film. It really does set up the whole series really well. I love it because in the book, obviously you don't have this prologue, so you get all of this information while you're reading it, which is really nice.
Dark Lord Sauron forged in secret a master ring.
Now that I've read the Silmarillion, it makes more sense as to why, from my understanding, Sauron is one of the Maiar. I think, is that right? Maiar? Maiar? He's like Gandalf. He's immortal. and he can be reincarnated, but because he put so much of himself into the ring and stuff, that's why he wasn't really defeated. And spoiler alert, he's technically not defeated in the end, which is funny. A friend of mine sends me Lord of the Rings gifts all the time, and he sent me one. He sent me one of, it was The Princess Bride, and about how Sauron really, really didn't die. He wasn't defeated because he's immortal.
That's how I feel.
Son of the king took up his father's sword.
I still don't understand how in the world he could have broke that. He has to weigh so much to be able to break that sword. That sword's made out of steel. What I think is really, really cool about the ring, like, you can't really tell in the films. The ring is very large for Sauron, so it goes on his finger. It can change size, so when it comes to Isildur, it gets smaller. And then when it goes to the hobbits, it gets even smaller because their fingers are smaller. So it's really interesting that the ring can manipulate its own shape, which is why here, when the ring betrays him, comes off of his finger because it grew. The ring wants to get back to its master and everything, so it makes itself a little bit too big and it just slips off his hand and betrays him. It's so small. It's really cool.
History became legend. Legend became myth.
And that's how King Arthur was formed. King Arthur is apparently speculated to be a real knight and or king of Wales, by the way.
When chance came, it ensnared a new bear.
I love this part as well, because you don't know that it's Deagle. You just assume it's Smeagol, because they like kind of tell you that it is, and it leaves the mystery of what exactly happened to Deagle later in the third film. When you're watching it, you're like, what?
Oh, it's so cool.
It consumed him.
I also love that Galadriel calls him a creature. He's not a hobbit or hobbit adjacent. He is a creature, which technically, by this point, after 500 years of the ring corrupting him, he pretty much is nothing but a creature. Gollum is his name and his species.
Concerning hobbits.
I love this part right here.
Hobbits have been living and farming in the forefathings of the Shire.
So like the beginning of the Shire in the theatrical cut, you don't get a lot of this. When you watch the extended edition, you get more of a feel of the Shire. You get feeling like this is normal, this is home. And then the rug is pulled out from underneath you. You know, it's kind of like in the book, because in the book they always talk about how the Shire is kind of off to itself. They know that other races exist because of they go into Bree sometimes, but most of them don't, and so they really don't interact with the rest of Middle Earth. And so it's kind of that same way, like you'll have Gandalf come in, you're like, okay, so big people exist, wizards exist, and then you go to Bree and you're like, okay, so here's the rest of it, and then it just gets worse from there. It just gives you a palette, like a blank slate to start on. It makes you think of home, which is why they spent so much time here. Elijah Wood is so young in these movies. They shot these movies back to back for 2 years. Maybe 3. I don't know. This thing went into production in like 1996. They didn't start filming until like 1999.
You're late.
A
wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
I love that shot of Gandalf about how it's just his hat and his brim. It reminds me of the scene in Titanic where Rose is first introduced. So the camera like pans down and then you see her, but you only see her the way that her big, massive Edwardian portrait hat swoops up, and then you just see her from this glimpse, and it's just like, that's your main character. That's Rose. That's who this is. It's so elegant. And so they kind of copy it here, where it's like, hey, this person is important. I love it.
I love that shot.
Oh, love that shot. Look at it. It makes you focus on him because everything else is so dark. Oh, it's a great shot. I don't know about you, but that's what I do to find my keys.
Just tea, thank you.
The amount of times that the actors got hurt in these films is hilarious. It honestly makes the film that much more special and that much more genuine. Because he actually did that on accident, and then they just kept it in the film. It's like, yep, that's what would happen.
I'm not at home.
Me neither.
I feel thin, sort of stretched, like butter scraped over too much bread.
How else can you put that into words of like how exhausted and how tired you feel? Obviously it's coming from the ring, but to be stretched that thin and to feel that exhausted, it's so great.
Oh my god!
I just realized that. Wow. That's how he starts and ends his journey in this book. He has the ring and then he goes into the West.
I don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve.
So good.
One of the best insults ever put down in literature.
Yes, it is time.
Oh, I love this.
Bilbo.
He stops. He takes it out. And he holds it in his palm. He can't bear to part with it. He's struggling. He can't put it down. He can't do anything. So he physically has to tip his hand. And then it thuds to the ground. That you can feel the weight of the ring. And then he steps away from it. There's like this clarity. The weight's been taken off of him, so he feels much better. Oh, there it is. See? You see how it shrinks? This is really cool. Or whenever it gets to Smeagol, it'll shrink again.
There'll still be many miles to go.
And the stream that flows from hill to plain. Someone go beer inside this tub.
I've listened to the melody too much.
I like these scenes where even though we hear about, like we read them and we hear about them in the book, but we're not actually shown them. That's what I like about the Hunger Games too. Apparently Christopher Lee wanted to be Gandalf. He was a little bit upset whenever he was not given the part of Gandalf. And he went up to Ian McKellen and was like,
I should have been Gandalf, but I guess you'll do.
Don't screw it up.
just old men throwing each other around. It's pretty dope though. Ian McKellen's in his 60s. Christopher Lee was in his 80s and he did most of his stunts. I love this. He's holding his head still and then he's swinging him around with the other one.
That way he doesn't get dizzy.
Trust a brandy buck and a toque. Oh, that was just a detour. A shortcut. Shortcut to what? The mushrooms!
That is a chapter title.
I think we should get off the road.
I love the shot. The dolly. Oh, it's so ominous. I love it. But I didn't really notice that the ring wraiths, the 9, they were sniffing. I did not know that until I read the book. I didn't know that they had a high sense of smell. See, there's the sniff. And there's the... and all the insects just flee. It's like everything is terrified. There's like a couple of chapters that they're getting ready to just cut out.
And I'm okay with it. It takes too long.
Frodo sells the house. So it's Pippin, Sam, and Frodo. They go to the new house that Frodo is supposed to have where they find Merry. And then the 4 of them leave together. That's right. That's how that happens. It takes them a while to get to Bree. Not to even include the fact that
Tom Bombadil is in the book.
it takes them like a month just to get to Bree. They get sucked in and eaten by trees. I'm so glad it was all cut.
Not one word of it do I miss.
What is going on?
That Black Rider was looking for something. Or someone. Frodo?
All of those parts interesting, and they're asking questions because in the book, Merry knew all about the ring, which I found so strange and so different because them not knowing about it and then going on this grand adventure because they kind of got roped into it is a little bit different than them actually knowing about it and choosing to go. In the film, Merry and Pippin don't choose to go with Frodo until they get to Rivendell. In the book, the 4 of them already knew that they were all going. So it's a different dynamic there. I do like the fact that all of them are together already, so you get some Hobbit bonding. I like Hobbit bonding. Oh, here's the most iconic shot. But they just had to replicate it for The Hobbit, and it makes me mad.
You've already done the shots. Stop it. Come up with something else.
What do you want? That is a rare gift. Why?
The fanny flossers.
We do not stop till nightfall.
What about breakfast?
We've already had it.
We've had one, yes. What about second breakfast?
Don't think he knows about second breakfast, Pip.
What about elevensies? Luncheon, afternoon tea, dinner, supper.
I don't know about you, but I also eat like 7 times a day.
It is a little bit of a shame that not all of the poems and songs and stuff get into it, which I actually prefer in the book rather than in the film. The film does some of them, which I enjoy, but that's one of the main differences that I really, really like between the film and the book, is that the book actually stops to give a poem or a song a little bitty snippet. They're just getting just a little, like a little salt sprinkle of what's been happening, what's going on, some background, some lore and stuff. He's such a badass. Do it.
Do it.
Now, this part where they start leaving Amansul and then they start going to Rivendell, it takes them like 2 weeks to still get there. And then in the film, they pretty much, it takes them like 3 days. Maybe not even, what does Arwen say? Does she say 2 days?
I think she says 2 days.
Where's the shot of the tree? There it is. I swear they used that shot twice. I'm pretty sure they used that exact same shot in the 2 Towers.
I swear it's the same shot.
I do like this change. 1, because there's not that many women in Lord of the Rings to begin with. There's like 3. And Glorfindel, he's only in this 1 scene. So might as well throw in a love interest. It's there. I have so many things to talk about it, but not in this one.
We must get him to my father. I've been looking for you for 2 days.
Where are you taking?
Yeah, she said that they've been looking for them for 2 days, and it takes them like 2 weeks just to get there. I don't know, it's just, with their whole love story, it kind of gives another, like, weight and dynamic to, you know, other things do happen. And this is not just a sausage fest. I mean, I would love it even if it was a sausage fest, so it's fine. I'm okay with Arwen Warrior Princess, though I am so glad that she was not in Helm's Deep. I have things to say about Helm's Deep.
If you want him, come and claim him.
I like this part better in the film more than I do the book, because in the book, it's Glorfindel takes him over, and then they come over, and the water washes away, which Frodo thinks is like some weird dream. And if you find out that Elrond did it. But I like this part because you understand what's going on because she's doing it. It's her power that's actually doing this rather than somebody doing it off out into the background and you don't even know about it. So this way you actually get to see how it happens. I like this better. I just like Arwen and Liv Tyler. Oh, Sean Bean. You just know he's gonna die. The beauty. He's so pretty. Okay, this is one of the parts that's different from the book. In the book, Aragorn is so gung-ho and he's like, I am the one. I am Isildur's heir. I am the one who's going to save Gondor and blah 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 blah, and I'm gonna return and be the king and I'm going to fulfill my duty and whatnot. And I like it better in the film because he actually has to struggle with it. And the book is already resolved. He's already had that struggle and he's fine. He's accepted that that's what's happening. But they've made it in the film to where he has to struggle. He has this internal conflict. It's an overarching theme and he has to overcome his reluctance to become king and accept his destiny and all this mess. It has come to my attention that internal conflict is definitely more of a modern fantasy trope theme idea rather than fantasy from Tolkien's time when this was published in the 50s. It is not lost on me that that's the reason why it's different. I just think from a story standpoint, especially to build character, Aragorn's great in the books, but I like his struggle a little bit more. I'm glad Peach pulled this out of the appendix. It shows of what is more at stake for Aragorn, with him becoming king and then Frodo having to destroy the ring and Aragorn having to figure out whether he is going to fulfill his destiny or whatever and become king, or is he going to fall to the dark side or to be corrupted by the ring. Come on, undying love?
Who doesn't want that?
You cannot give me this. It is mine to give to whom I will. Like my heart.
It just it's a small thing, but it raises the stakes for Aragorn. I like all this part with Boromir because from the get-go, you already see that he's starting to be corrupted by the ring. In the book, it's more subtle. It doesn't really start until much later, like getting closer to the climax, and so from here, it already sets up the fact that, you know, he's easily corruptible. The hearts of men are corruptible, and he's one of them. He's not perfect, because no one is.
Anyway, you need people of intelligence on this sort of mission.
Quest. Thing. So that rules you out, Pippin.
So be it. You shall be the Fellowship of the Ring.
Power drop.
Right.
Where are we going? Frodo's face.
I miss him. I'm not even phased anymore. I've seen it so many times.
Passive.
Door 2, 1, 5.
Good. Very good.
I like that they added this with Boromir's character as well, because it shows, like, you know, he may be corruptible, but he is a genuinely good guy. He's so good. He plays with Merry and Pippin and teaches them how to fight, and it makes his death that much harder.
It is a strange fate that we should suffer so much fear and doubt over so small a thing.
By having scenes like this, it just, God, it makes Boromir so much more tragic. It's so good. He's a genuinely good person.
It sucks.
This, my friend, is
Gimli's
the home of my
optimism
cousin
is so
Balin,
great.
and they call it a mine.
A mine.
This is no mine. It's a tomb.
And then the award for melodrama goes to Gimli. I should laugh, but John Rhys Davies is a great actor. Oh.
Let us hope that our presence may go unnoticed.
It would have, if it wasn't for Pippin.
Fool of a toque. You can't trust a brandy buck and a toque.
They are coming.
This part in the book is a little bit more subtle. It's more like, it's just a coin, I think is what is dropped. It's something really, really small and it's very subtle. This blows it out of proportion and I love it. It makes it so much worse. Like, that's a noise.
That is a noise.
Fool of a toque. Throw yourself in next time and rid us of your stupidity.
Poor Pippin. Ooh. See, him dropping the whole skeleton in a bucket, I feel like that would be the noise that starts waking up some drums, not a little coin. Let me go back. He dropped a stone. He dropped a stone. A very small stone's not gonna make that kind of a noise. A body in a bucket, however.
That'll make a noise.
Dude, this was epic in the book, too.
You shall not pass! Ah!
Sucks. It still sucked in the book. I mean, I knew he was coming back, but damn, it still sucked. Legolas in this movie gets a lot of crap because he doesn't have much of a personality, but this right here, that look is just... He's never experienced grief before, and so he's looking around and seeing that everyone is, like, really depressed. Even in the book, Legolas doesn't know what to do. He's really confused. Look, Cate Blanchett is great. She's a great actress. And she's beautiful, and she makes a great Galadriel. But they made her creepy, and it works.
Welcome, Frodo of the Shire. One who has seen the eye.
She is creepy.
I love it.
That's what happens when you corrupt an elf.
Even the smallest person can change the course of the future.
You got that? Even you little insignificant person, you can change the course of the future.
Sorry, I can't say it with a straight face.
See, when it gets to this part in the film, you've had this build up the entire time of Boromir being corrupted by the ring. It's been very slow and subtle, and then there are moments, and then his is just where it snaps because he's absolutely terrified for his people. All he wants to do is save his people. That's pretty much his only goal. He's got so much pressure on him because of his dad, and since he was supposed to be the steward of Gondor, he's the firstborn son, there is so much pressure on him to do this, to bring back the ring to Gondor. And this, he snaps. And then he has a bit of clarity because he's not around the ring anymore. He just feels completely guilty because that's not him, and he knows it's not him. And he feels so bad.
Please, Frodo.
And then you don't have this part in the book. This is the complete juxtaposition of how Boromir is versus how Aragorn is. He could be easily corrupted, and he fights back against it. But he knows that for the good of his people and for the good of all of Middle-earth, he has to let it go. He can't use it. It's a nice juxtaposition. The book's actually finished right here. It's the first chapter of the second book of the Two Towers. Boromir's dead by like page 2, so I like the change from the book to the film by including this chapter at the end of Fellowship, because it actually brings it all the way around and you have a full story. You have a beginning and you have a complete end. Granted, yes, it ends on like a cliffhanger, if you want to call it that, because the story is not finished, but you do feel like it's an entire chapter and section of this series. It has a pretty satisfying ending. And this is where Boromir redeems himself. It has such a bigger payoff because he was playing with Merry and Pippin, and he's actually got a strong bond to them now. Just to die defending them? Tears.
I may actually cry.
Fun fact, this scene right here, he was not supposed to actually throw the knife at him, and he threw a real knife at him, and Viggo Mortensen, being the smart person that he is, actually deflected the real knife. And then they left it in the film.
It almost took his face off.
Frodo. Where is Frodo?
This is the part that gets me.
I let Frodo go. Then you did what I could not.
See, and then you have the coming together, the juxtapositions. And then in the book, Aragorn tells him that he won't tell anyone. Or he decides that he's not going to tell anyone about Boromir trying to take the ring.
I would have followed you, my brother. My captain. My king.
He's so good. He's so good at dying. So that was my review and commentary on The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. I have to say that with Fellowship of the Ring, the adaptation of it's pretty spot on. There's quite a few stuff taken out. There's only really a handful of things added into this one, which is really nice. So as far as adaptation goes, it's a pretty stellar adaptation. To me, out of the 3 films, it is the best adaptation. But we'll find that out as we go along in this series. Let me know down in the comments what you think. If there's anything I forgot to talk about between the differences between the film and the book, let me know. If I got anything wrong, let me know in the comments. I would absolutely love to be corrected on it. I don't want to go around sharing misinformation and everything. If you like seeing series like this, if you think this is a good idea and you like for it to go on, let me know in the comments. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and do The Two Towers and Return of the King. Hopefully, I can post those within the next week or so. And then I have a whole lineup of my rereads in November that I want to do, so I'm going to try to do the same thing for that. So basically anything that I read that has an adaptation, I want to try to go for it. I also have another series planned that I'm really excited about. I'm thinking of having those drop on every Friday. We'll see how that goes as well. So let me know down in the comments if you like this. If you did like this, give it a like. Maybe go ahead and scooch over and hit that subscribe button. Yeah, I guess that's gonna be it. So Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. It's a stellar adaptation. I guess all that is left is to decide as to what to do with the time that's left with me.